Good afternoon. I'm Bill Randall. I'm a candidate for North Carolina's 13th Congressional District. I'll read a prepared statement, then I'll briefly answer questions. As most Americans are aware, our nation is facing a domestic crisis on many fronts that threaten its very survival as a constitutional republic. One of these issues is the Gulf of Mexico disaster that looms as an ecological and economical nightmare. I would like to set the record straight on my position with respect to this disaster. First and foremost, I have not, and I still do not, accuse any person or entity, private or government, of wrongdoing. Speculation is one thing. Accusations are entirely different. But I believe there are many questions that remain unanswered, and our focus is lost in the process. So with that, I ask the following. Does my political opponent, or anyone, believe that there should not be an investigation into the circumstances leading up to this disaster? Also, were safety rules ignored or violated with government approval? If so, why? Why have we refused help from other nations? In light of this disaster, did it make sense to do that? South American and Central American countries and other nations, as well as China, are drilling in the Gulf of Mexico. Why a U.S. moratorium on drilling at this time? Why is the administration making cap and trade relevant to this disaster? These questions, ladies and gentlemen, are real issues that I want to emphasize. With that, I'll take your questions, and I ask that your questions be germane to the Gulf of Mexico issue. Thank you.
Bill, you're trying to say that basically your position yesterday was asking for investigation. That's not what was controversial about your statement. What was controversial about your statement was the suggestion that the federal government and BP colluded to have some role in the oil spill. Now, you've said you have absolutely no evidence that this is true. Do you still stand by that speculation, or do you want to back away from that?
I don't want to back away from any call for a thorough investigation into this situation. I think that we have a responsibility to do that, and anything short of that is not serving the American people.
So do you believe that the federal government had a role to play in this disaster where they would intentionally spill oil?
Sir, I think you cannot take anything from my statement that indicates that.
I think the whole country saw your statement and took that away from it. Was your statement misconstrued? Was your statement misspoken? Or do you stand by your assertion, your speculation, that the federal government had something to do with the BP spill, that the oil was intentionally spilled?
My statements are a matter of record. If you care to review them and derive whatever conclusion you want to derive, you're free to do that. But I reiterate what I said in my opening.
So you're saying your statements were misconstrued by everybody who watched them?
First and foremost, I have not and still do not accuse any person or entity, private or government, of wrongdoing. Speculation is one thing. Accusations are entirely different.
So you stand by your speculation that the government and BP colluded to cause the oil spill on purpose?
Sir, I think I spoke clearly on the last point that I made.
I'm not sure that you did. Can you answer that question, yes or no?
I'm sorry. I am not responsible for your understanding.
So if anyone interpreted your statements to believe that you were suggesting that there was an intentional spill by the federal government and by BP, you would say that they were misconstruing your statement?
Our people are hurting in the United States, and I don't believe that parsing words or going round and round on verbiage is what we need. We need action. We need to find out what happened, because now the threat is that we're not going to drill.
You said maybe they wanted it to happen. How's that being misconstrued?
Sir, we're at a point right now where our nation is at a threshold where if we don't do the right thing, it is a serious threat to our republic, and we may not recover from it if we don't do the right thing.
So you're not going to answer the question?
I've answered the question. My statements that you already have on record remain. You and others are free to go there. And by the way, I don't think we should put ourselves in a position to where we think that we could be the universal spokesperson for everyone that viewed the video. Now, it seems to me that you're trying to put yourself as spokesperson for everyone that viewed it. Your conclusions are what they are. The statements are on record. You can interpret them the way you want, but I am taking this time today to make sure that there is no misunderstanding and no misinterpretation of what I said. And
So then will you clarify whether you believe that there was collusion between the federal government and BP to intentionally spill oil? Will you clarify that point?
I'll clarify this. I believe that the situation is grave enough for us to really look in and investigate what has happened, and what I believe, no matter what, whether it supports, denies, or anything, any theory or what have you, is irrelevant. What is important is that we move forward and do the things that are necessary. And necessary steps in this case is getting to the bottom of what has happened, what happened with it, take the necessary and prudent steps to alleviate the disaster, the ecological disaster that we have, and then move forward